Hey everybody, welcome to Aniki, the podcast about anime with two brothers. I'm Ben, Des.
And oh, see, now you've thrown me off my game, off my that I have no life. I was gonna be horny Yu-Gi-Oh, but your desk threw me off.
Sorry.
Not just for the joke, but mostly because of the way you paced it.
Gotta have that pause.
It tripped me up. You did pause. It was too pregnant.
Just like all those War Beast girls have pause. Or do they have pause? I don't think they actually have pause.
They don't have pause. Nor do they have beans. I'm disappointed in the bean situation.
That's unfortunate. So, what have you been up to since last we spoke?
Watching Nelson Cruz hit home runs. Mostly baseball. Yeah, work and baseball.
A lot of baseball.
Yeah, Bob's Burgers and baseball.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Bob's Burgers. Although I haven't seen any this season yet.
Solid show. I mean, I assume it's still solid.
Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, it was one of the shows that Fox didn't cancel.
Well, that's nice. I assume The Simpsons is still going.
It's going to go forever, obviously. But
can't stop The Simpsons.
Bob's Burgers is like, I don't know, it's kind of esoteric for, I would think, most people's tastes. Whereas Brooklyn Nine-Nine has like this very broad appeal, and yet it's the one that got canceled.
9-9. Yeah.
I don't understand what Fox is thinking.
Well, I think Hulu picked that up so fast.
Was it Hulu? I thought Netflix got it. No, it was NBC got Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, sure.
And Amazon picked up The Expanse, which no one thought was possible until Jeff Bezos said that's my favorite show.
That explains it, because The Expanse is very good.
Yeah, but it's just...
I still need to read book 7, but yeah, I was like, no one has the money to like back The Expanse. Oh, okay.
Yeah, until he said that, it was like, okay, Brooklyn Nine-Nine has stated they really only have one season left in them, like season 6, and they've already got the sets, they've already got the people, they basically got all the story laid out. They just need slight funding, whereas The Expanse is like millions of dollars per episode just for the visual effects. And people are like, oh, save The Expanse. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, like, it's too expensive. Like, I blame no sci-fi show, especially of that quality, of going under. But it's like, oh.
I am a little bitter that The Expanse got picked up, and yet I'm still waiting for more of Stargate Universe.
No one's going to pick it. Stargate's gone.
I know.
Blasé.
But
why watch that when you could just watch The Expanse?
But Universe was so good. It was
but have you seen The Expanse?
No, I've
not seen The Expanse. Well, go watch The Expanse.
At some point,
First season's for free on Amazon.
I bet it is.
Or just read the books. The books are really good.
I've heard mixed things about the books.
Okay, well, books 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
2 is amazing. 1 is good. 3 is kind of eh. 4 is okay. And then 5 is really solid again. And so is 6.
Yeah, I heard that the consistency isn't really there.
Well,
but I've also heard that the story doesn't tend to go anywhere. But
I wouldn't say that.
That was just one guy's opinion.
It jumps like every 2 books. So each 2 book set is kind of a major plot. No. You can't say the plot's not going anywhere. Like the world state from book 1 versus the world state at the end of book 6 is so completely different.
Well, that's good to know at least.
That's an absurd statement. That statement is simply absurd.
I'm just going off rumors here. The world state
between those 2 books. Yeah, the world state's in a completely different universe, almost literally.
Oh, let's see. What have I been up to? I started reading Neuromancer. I think I mentioned that last time.
Why haven't you watched John Carter? Why haven't you read John Carter of Mars?
Because I told you I would start that after I finished the Watchmen series from Discworld, which I'm on the last book of. So, but Neuromancer is frustrating.
Oh, is this the last Guards book?
No, Neuromancer is by William Gibson. It's like, I think it was very influential on at least the Matrix. Definitely the Matrix, because Neuromancer has a Matrix in it, literally.
Oh, sure.
And its big claim to fame is it came up with the term cyberspace.
Oh, yeah, did it?
But the writing is not fantastic.
Of its time?
It's not even of its time.
Probably
it's just
the late 80s, early 90s?
So the main character will be doing something in like a scene. Let's say, this doesn't happen in the book, but let's say he's sitting on a couch. And then like literally the next paragraph, he'll be in the middle of a motorcycle chase or something. It just jumps all over the place. And there's no warning. And
that's a nifty narrative device, but
it's frustrating.
Yeah, I can see it both ways. It depends how well it's done, but
well, I'm listening to it on an audiobook, which makes it worse. It might be easier to follow if I was actually physically reading it.
Yeah, because there's probably little thingies.
Maybe. But even books on tape, normally if there's a scene change, there's like a pause at least.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, yeah, we're moving to somewhere else. But nope. Oh, well. I guess I'm on the last watch novel, which is Thud.
Thud's good. Thud's very good.
That series is just really solid.
Yeah, the Guard series is super great. Thud is really good. Thud's a really good
I'm
one.
about halfway through Thud. The one before that, Night Watch, that was a very abrupt change of pace.
Yeah, I haven't read all the Guards books. I know I've read the first one and I've read Thud, so I'm not sure how many of the middle ones I've read. But
it's one of the only series that he did that builds on the last one, so you don't really get the full impact of the later books if you haven't read the previous books. Whereas like Rincewind, you can just jump wherever. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, you can really jump around.
The Watch series is pretty jokey jokes up until that Night Watch novel, where it gets really dark and really heavy. There's like no jokes at all in that book.
Ooh.
On purpose. And then in Thud, it goes back to being funny.
See, that sounds like what happened with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with the last book. Of course, that has the added benefit of Douglas Adams being like, that last book was a bit of a downer. I should really write another funny book. And then he died. It's like, oh,
that's how it
universe?
goes.
Thanks. Thanks for that. Thank you.
I mean, to be fair, that is a typical Douglas Adams joke.
It kind of is, to be honest.
I think I only read the first 2 books of the original trilogy. I don't think I made it to the third. Was that wasn't his last book in that series, was it?
What was? Which one?
So Long, Thanks for All the Fish.
No, that's the third, I think.
Yeah, but that's not the last one.
There's 5. It's the 5-part trilogy.
That sounds like him.
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's a trilogy in 5 parts.
A trilogy in 5 parts. Very nice.
Do what you can.
I don't know how to segue that. You want to try for a good segue there?
I know. I'll use the same sort of segue the show does. Hey, breasts! Speaking of breasts.
Here we go into No Game, No Life. So this week we are...
Breasts.
The anime, also known as No Game, No Life.
No breasts, yeah.
Well, some of them don't have those.
Oh, that's true.
The main dude doesn't.
Yeah, and some of the other characters.
Yeah. Would you like to give a synopsis, or shall I?
Oh, no, you go right ahead. I want to see how you want to describe the show.
Okay. No Game, No Life is a light novel series by Kamiya and Yu that was started in 2012. There's 10 books. The anime, which came out...
10 of these.
Yeah. The anime, which came out in 2014, only covers the first 3 of those books.
I'm curious if the light novels are as, horny as the show.
I'm sure they are. Can't see why they wouldn't be, because that's where half the humor comes from. So the setup
Humor's a very strong term, but continue.
So the setup is there's a sibling pair of gamers who are collectively known as Kuhaku or blank, and they are the best gamers in the world. And one day they receive an email that invites them to play a game of chess, and it's super hard, but they eventually win. Turns out they beat a god named Tet, who asks them to come to a world where everything, literally everything, is decided by games. And so they are teleported to a whole new world that's fantastic in games. There's a lot of games. Lots of games.
There's a lot of boobs.
A lot of games and breasts and games. And so they're thrown into the kingdom of Elkia into the world of Disboard, which is not Discord, which is what we're using
That's
now.
what we're using to record this.
And from there, they try to take over the world, basically.
Yeah.
Also boobs. There's boobs.
Lots of that. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. So general thoughts from you. Let me guess. No, I don't want to guess. I want to hear what you think.
No. Hit me.
I will guess that you sort of liked it, but it had too much ecchi in it.
I mean, more or less. It's fine.
It's fine.
Fine. The show's fine.
Any
It's
thoughts
fine.
beyond that?
It's fine.
It's just fine. Well, I like it, and my wife
Okay.
really likes it. It's
To each their own.
it does have a certain brand of humor.
That it does. Like, I think I would have liked it better in college. I think it's fine. It's fine. When it's being serious, I really enjoy it. But then it just slams itself right into into a chest full of boobs.
It does do that.
Just wham. I mean, honestly, I think the first 2 episodes really set you up, because the first episode is like, okay, this is pretty serious. There's a little ecchi stuff in here, but that's okay. And then second episode is just like, hey, you know all that cool stuff from that first one? Fuck that shit. Breasts. It's like, all right.
That's fair.
And I find the obnoxious thing about it is that that's how it does it. It's not like the two halves are melded together like in Bakemonogatari or anything. It's like, no, it's like, here's time for like the clever gameplay and the protagonist actually being like clever at solving these puzzles and boob jokes. And it's like, there's never the two will really meet. Except in the last arc, which is probably why the very last game is probably, I found the ecchi humor in that was solid.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay.
This makes sense.
You've now melded the two together in something that I'm like, yeah, okay, this all tracks.
So I will tell you what I like about it. I like that it is very clever in a good and
very
still
clever.
believable way.
Yeah. Which is nice coming from a lot of the shows like this, like Expert Gamer gets stuck in a gamer world. Like there are lots of those shows, and usually it makes them out to be like some sort of gaming genius.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you're not though.
The one that came to mind for me was Saki, where she plays mahjong and just pulls out all these ridiculous hands out of nowhere because she's quote unquote good at it.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is the other thing is like Lelouch of the Rebellion, where like he's supposed to be a strategic mastermind. Like, yeah, you're not, you're dumb. You're dumb though.
And yet things work out in his favor for no apparent reason.
Yeah, well, he dumb though. But in this, like, Blank is clever. They're both clever, and they're clever in different ways.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I also like that the show on a whole is, from my perspective, a constant level of funny. Like
That's fair, yeah.
It's pretty constant throughout. There's a lot of just moments where you go, wow, that was good. I liked that.
There are some very, very excellent visual reference jokes, and they are very good. They make me titter. Get it, titter? Because
wow, yeah.
See, that's the type of humor you're getting in this show.
There's like no wasted time in the show, even though there are a couple scenes which you could totally cut out, mostly to do with baths. But everything else, there's nothing really wasted.
Well, it depends why you're here, right? If you're here for the boobs, then the baths are an integral part of the entire process.
But aside from those particular scenes, and I don't think there's very many of them, it's either trying to make me laugh, it's setting up something, or executing whatever it just set up. There's like no wasted time, and I really like that.
Well, that's fair.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of ecchi humor, and
there's a lot.
It hasn't aged well. I remember seeing this a couple years ago, and it was really good then, and now it's like, you guys could have turned that down a little bit.
Yeah, they really could. Because again, like, it's not necessary. And it's really out of nowhere for some of it. Some of it's just like, and then a boob joke. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Could you hold yourself to a higher standard?
But the biggest problem it has is, even though the novels finished up in 2016, they haven't done any more of the show. So the novels are over.
I wouldn't mind seeing more of the show.
I would definitely like to see more of the show, and so would most of the internet. But
yeah,
here we are.
I wouldn't like hyperventilate in gladness, but I mean, I'd be like, yeah, I'll get around to that.
I would be very excited, but
especially if they maybe toned down the boob stuff and just told me the story with the fun games, because I like the games. I like how clever the duo is.
Mm-hmm.
Blank is very clever. I like seeing their clever plans.
So I ended up giving the show as a whole, back when I first saw it, an 8. I think I would maybe turn that down to a 7 now.
Yeah, like, it's all right. Show's fine. It's fine. It's a show that if I were still in anime club at IU and this was one of the shows, it'd be a show that I'd be like, I'll try not to skip that. I'll show up for that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like hyper excited by it, but I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll watch this one. I would be like, oh, good, that one's next.
So let's delve into spoilers and whatnot and more specific things about the show. First thing I wanted to pull out was all the music and the art. Basically, the music and the art. Mostly the references. This show is really good at references.
It really is. There's lots of really good reference humor in it.
I think I counted a really solid JoJo reference.
Yes.
We got a Doraemon.
Excellent.
Doraemon reference.
Multiple Doraemon references.
Gendo.
A very good Gendo reference.
Man, that Gendo reference was
that one a lot.
amazing.
It was very good. It made me laugh because it came out of kind of nowhere. And see, that was another time where like the ecchi humor kind of worked because it's like, take over the cat girl land, you say.
Yes.
Don't mind if I do. It's like, see, you can do this. You can have it both ways.
Yeah. One thing that really stuck out to me, though, was just how everything looked. It's a very interesting visual show because all the outlines are not black. None of them are black.
They're all red.
Red or blue.
Yeah. I like the art direction. I do like the character designs for the most part. Mm-hmm. Even especially like the angel. Oh,
Gibberel.
Yeah, Gibberel. She's got, I guess so. She's got kind of a sexy design, but I mean, it's pretty good. It's an interesting character design.
What I really like are all the different eye types.
Yeah. Each magical race has a different type of iris, which is
so even though they're mostly all humanoids, at least the races that we see, they each have a distinctive eye type. So even if they look human-ish, you can still tell which race they are just by looking at their eyes. It's very nice. I guess we should go into, well, one thing that stood out to me too was the music is fantastic. And
I will say this when it comes to the music, I never noticed it. So,
well, that's probably good.
I mean, that usually means that your music was fine, because if you notice the music, it either means that it was very good or just in the way. And I never really noticed the music one way or the other. Well, wait, no, there's one, because one is the THX ramp up. So I did notice that.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
But that was really the only one.
But also the sound design is really, really good. The one that stands out most to me is the sound effects for anything that Gibberel does. That really deep sound. Especially during the Shiritori arc.
Oh, for magic? Yeah. For her magic usage? Yeah.
I really like that.
I thought you were talking about the boinga going of her breasts. But yeah, okay.
I don't remember the boinga going sound effects, but I'm sure they were there, because why wouldn't they be?
I'm sure they were there. Why would they not be?
Let's move on to world building, because I think that's where the series... Well, obviously,
it's strong there, right?
It is really strong.
Because there's a lot of... When the like I say, like when the show's taking itself seriously, I'm like, yeah, I'm quite down for this. The problem is that then it stops.
Well, it's got to have its time to boob jokes.
Yeah, it's got to have its time to fall into a pair of breasts.
So the backstory of the world is that there were originally these 16 magical races in this world of Disboard, and they were all at like literal war with each other.
Because their gods were at war, right?
The gods were at war. They basically all defeated each other except one who didn't participate. And that turned out to be this god Tet, who was the god of gaming. And he just sort of won by default because he didn't play. So he banishes all the old gods to somewhere. We're not really sure. And then he rebuilds the world and says that all the 16 races, which include the old gods, now all have to follow these 10 pledges. And the whole world spins on those 10 pledges. Like, all the games are based off them, and all the...
Yeah, reality itself warps around it.
So the 10 rules are, all murder, war, and robbery is forbidden in the world.
And like, when it says that, it's not just like, forbid it, you break the law. It's like, no, you literally cannot. It cannot be done.
Yeah, if you try, it just doesn't work. Number 2 is, all conflict in the world will be resolved through games. 3 is, in games, each player will bet something that they agree is of equal value. 4 is, as long as it doesn't violate Pledge 3, anything may be bet, and any game may be played, which allows some crazy stuff to happen.
Because, which one's 3?
They'll each bet something of equal value.
Oh, sure.
That they agree is of equal value. So there's not some arbitrary judge making that choice.
Yeah. Yep.
The 5th is, the challenged party has the right to decide the rules of the game.
They don't have to, but it is a right.
Yeah. 6 is, any bets made in accordance with the pledges must be upheld, and they will be upheld.
Yeah, it's not even so much that they must, it's that, well, they will.
Yeah, regardless. 7, conflicts between groups will be conducted by designated representatives with absolute authority. like kings and such. 8 is being caught cheating during a game is grounds for an immediate loss.
Caught being the operative part here.
Yep. 9, in the name of God, God being Tet, the previous rules may never be changed.
Oh, yeah, so you can't. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then 10, let's all have fun and play together, which is a weird rule because you can't actually follow that one all the time.
Yeah.
So those are the 10 pledges, and all the games in this world have to follow those. And Kuhaku makes a lot of progress by gaming those rules as much as possible.
Yeah, in clever ways.
Yeah, and what I like about the show is they keep referring to those rules and showing them on screen, so everybody has the text of what they're referring to. It's not like something they mentioned once and we're supposed to remember it.
Well, because what Blank does in the show is very similar to Light, right, in Death Note, where it's just like, oh, here, I have the rules to this. I'm going to exploit them to the best of my ability. I'm going to figure out how far I can stretch them and then use them to my benefit.
Yeah, and I like how the first couple episodes really set them up for that, because they go on this little, very tiny spree of trying to game different people in these very small matches just to see how the rules work.
Just see how it works. Turns out you can make people fall in love with you.
You can, yes.
And it's a little creepy, but yeah, okay.
But not stay in love. Just fall in love.
Yes, that is true. Somebody does point that out later.
Yep.
You can make someone be your dog for the day, which was pretty okay.
Hey, she set herself up for that one.
And they got some very good jokes out of it. I will not lie. There was never a time in which they were just like, you're being annoying, sit. That I was not like, yeah, okay.
Yep. That's fair.
Good answer. Or just the random beg now. And she's like, oh, all right. It's the fact that like how the rules work is like when you have to do something in accordance to your pledge, like everything turns off and you just have to.
Yeah, until the moment it's like technically fulfilled, and then you're allowed to have opinions about that.
And then you're allowed to be like, yeah.
Because yeah, as soon as Sora makes Steph fall in love with him, she'll say things like, "Oh, I love you so much," and then she'll bang her head against the wall.
She's
Many
just,
a time.
so mad that she had to. Yeah, it's pretty solid.
That's where we get that JoJo reference with the "Ree," which is really nice.
Oh no, there's another one when they're in the cart.
Oh yes,
yeah,
yes, I forgot that one.
Very good. It's very very good. That one's way better.
Lines I always wanted to say in real life. Number 4.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess let's talk about the characters next. So we've got Kuhaku,
such as they are.
Blank, which is made up of brother Sora, aged 18, and sister Shiro, aged 11. What are your thoughts about them?
I like Shiro a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember her being kind of creepy, but as I watched it, I'm like, no, this is a really good little sister character.
Yeah, when you rewatch it, I don't know. I mean, how I watched it the first time is, yeah, there's a bit of that like incest thing going, but it's very much in a troll way that a lot of the other stuff isn't. And I did appreciate that, where it's like you can really tell that she is just going out of her way to troll a character trope.
It makes
sense. Her character is written in such a way that she knows her own trope and is trolling people with it.
Yeah, because I think that she is wanting her brother to actually find a real girlfriend.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, she also likes to make sure that he doesn't progress in that at all, because he's usually just being a lecher.
Yeah.
I like how the show initially presents them. It's an interesting setup when we first meet them, that the reason they hate the current world is the standard Reddit smart person. Their rationalization for why they cut themselves off for life, because the whole real world is set up with no set rules. There seems to be no goal, and the rules change all the time. So why bother living? Or why bother going outside? Let me just play a video game instead.
I mean, that's the holodeck problem, right?
A little bit.
So, I mean, that's a problem we'll get to when we get to it, societally speaking. But yeah, that's the holodeck problem right there.
You want to explain what the holodeck problem is for those who aren't familiar with it?
Oh, once we invent holodecks, what reason is there not to just go like be Hercules forever?
I mean, it's a good question.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's your problem. But what I thought was slightly more interesting was the fact that they are supposed to be very socially maladjusted and like really bad in groups and crowds. And in the show, they have several times where they fall apart because of that. I wish the show played that up a bit more. I wish they actually played that as a real weakness and not an avenue for jokes. But then, yeah, that's not really what the show is.
Yeah, I feel like if they did more of the books, I haven't read them, but I feel like they set up enough of that at some point it actually does become a huge problem for them.
I would like it because as it stands, right, like our main characters, blank, they really don't have any flaws. They don't really have to overcome anything, which is fine. I mean, that's the sort of show it is. It's you want to see a clever person do a clever thing by actually being clever. And it's like, and that's fine. But I wish they were a little more flawed in a real way. I wish their sort of neat problems actually like popped up. But that would take the show to be more serious than it is, which is perfectly fine. It's fine the way it is, but I wish it took itself more seriously, because when it does take itself seriously is when the show's really good.
I do feel like you're right that when the games are actually on the line, yeah, they don't have any faults. But in everything else, they seem to actually not.
I mean, they are miserable human beings.
Yeah,
don't get
they're
me
pretty
wrong.
miserable, especially Sora.
Oh yeah, they are sad, miserable people.
He thinks he's a pretty suave guy, but I mean, you just get him out of the room with his sister, and suddenly he just breaks down
and they
into
both
a
fall
quivering
apart.
ball of jelly.
I do like that a lot, especially how many times like Steph points that out, where it's just like, oh, so this is what happens when you're apart. Neither of you are actually cool. You're only a barely competent gamer / labradoodle when you're together.
Yep. And speaking of Steph, what'd you think of her?
Well, she was there to provide the breasts.
Well, some of them. She was she's basically the straight man.
She's the straight man. She's the audience stand-in for the most part, because she's the one that is standing right behind blank, and even she doesn't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and she has this complicated relationship with the two of them because they see her as this idiot who has no idea what she's doing.
She's actually very competent in some of their stuff.
And she's actually really good, especially at like politics. And they didn't realize this at all.
Yes, I did like that, and I like the way it's brought up where it's like, Steph? We always just thought you were a Steph, where her name had become an insult to them already. It's like, that's good joke. Good joke.
Yeah, there are a couple of times where they are very surprised that she's kept up with stuff. Like
that she's very competent.
Like she's competent with local politics and keeping certain royals in line.
Well, because she understands people, and they really don't.
Oh yeah, they have no clue. And then later, when the elf and the other human are explaining their relationship and stuff and the politics of the elf country,
Elvengard, yeah.
Steph asks a question about it, and everyone at the table is shocked that she kept up with that entire story.
Oh yeah, and she like understood the ramifications and all the political intrigue. It's like, Steph, go back to being a Steph. No one likes it when you're smart.
You're ruining everything. There is a point where she may be a romantic interest for Sora at some point. I'm not sure.
It's hard to tell.
I mean, at the beginning, yes, she loses a game and his demand of her is basically fall in love with me, which sounds terrible until it wears off like literally the next episode.
It's still a little gross, but yeah.
It is a little gross, but
it's at least played for laughs. So
I mean, he could have said way worse. And
of course.
Shiro even points that out. Like, you could have said something like, "You're mine forever," and he's like, "No, we got to go about this ethically."
Yeah,
which is his justification of it.
When I make people my love slaves.
But I did notice that in like the second or third episode, where up until that point, anytime she looks at Sora, she gets this Stepho vision.
Stepho vision, very good.
Where he's like this Bishi surrounded in flowers. But there is one point where she actually admires him for a second, and it just vanishes. And we never see it again. And it's not pointed out until like episode 8 or 9 that, yeah, you were just commanded to fall in love with him, not stay in love with him. So the moment you actually sort of liked him, it wore off. And everything since then has just been you. What about Kurami,
Well, first off, she does have a short Hime cut, so,
She does. She's the one that Stephanie was trying to beat to become the next king.
Very poorly. Oh, that was what I wanted to say about Steph. I like how Steph is definitely a vehicle for the point of view of, well, if I just brute force it, my luck will finally let me win.
Oh, so like Heart of the Cards?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, Blank points out, it's like, no, games are decided before you even, like, go. There's barely even chance in games of chance, which is technically a lie, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're sort of half cheating the way Blank does, they're cheating within the rules like Blank does, then that makes sense. But, as like a real life gamer, especially not of video games, but of like board games and stuff, it's like, no, there's a lot of luck in it. There's a reason the best Magic players in the world have like, a 0.55 win rate or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a lot of luck in a lot of very skill-intensive games, but yes.
Although, now that you bring Steph up again, her
She
grandpa,
also picks very, very bad games to point that out.
her grandpa,
I like the
choice character design for grandpa.
Oh yeah, where he's just a king.
Yeah.
Of king of cards.
Yeah, it's delightful. Like, good job, show. I like that.
I do like her idea of the ultimate luck game is guess when the pigeons are gonna fly off, and it's like,
And she doesn't put any stipulations on that.
apply a half second of lateral thinking to this puzzle. You're killing me, Steph.
Well, like
I'm
I said,
literally dying here. It's like he's going to throw a rock at them.
that's the episode where she becomes the dog for a day, and it's like, dude, you challenge them to all these games all day, and you kind of deserve.
You couldn't
this
say
one.
roll a d20,
Yeah,
roll a dice,
roll a dice,
flip a coin.
Well, as we
Don't
find
do
out,
when will
flipping
the
a
birds
coin
fly
isn't
away.
exactly
Well,
fair
yeah,
either.
but at least then, like that is at least like that makes sense that in theory is far more random than, well, which bird will fly away and how long before the birds fly away. It's like, you scare the freaking birds and you win. You're dumb. Lateral thinking for half a second.
What a Steph.
What a Steph, that's Steph.
So anyway, Karami.
She has a Hime cut.
She does have a cut. She's also like she's not really tsundere, but she's got that very cold
she's
character.
A foil. Yeah, she's a foil in the beginning.
It's really hard to tell how smart she actually is because the entire time she's in a game, anytime she's shown, she's got Fee with her, the elf chick, and she's always using magic.
Who can cheat?
So much cheating.
Well, I mean, she just straight up cheats, I guess. But you have to cheat in a way that is actually like point outable.
Yeah, if no one catches you, you can cheat all you want. Who cares?
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think she has much more of a personality beyond that. It's kind of sad.
No, she doesn't really.
I feel like we should have more.
Well, she's totally in lesbians with Fee, but that's about it.
Well, we do find out that she's Fee's technical slave.
Yeah, she's technically Fee's slave, which is kind of weird, but that's like actually an interesting character thing, because for all of this, you think that Fee is an underling to Karami.
Or at least they're just like
just the way they're
in crime.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that turn.
That's an interesting turn, and again, if the show was just took itself more seriously, I like a lot of the things it's doing. Whenever it gets close to doing that, it just shows you a pair of boobs and goes on with itself.
Well, and they do bring up a point that Fee owns Karami, and that Fee, because a relative of hers died last year, that she's technically the head of that house, and that house is holding
like
high
a major
sway
player politically
in the Elven Guard.
Again, these are very interesting ideas, but they pretty much just tell you about them and then make a boob joke.
Yeah, there's a throwaway line about she may like free all the human slaves in the Elven Guard, which is tantamount to treason apparently. And
like,
so
it's interesting.
It seems like it's setting it up for something that's going to happen later, because we never see anything in the Elven Guard.
And then just boop-a-doop-a-doop boop sex and moves on with itself.
A little bit. And so we've only got like one more main character left, which is Jibril.
I do like her a lot.
She's delightful.
She is a delight. You know who she reminds me of?
Who?
Bokoro no Tenchi, what's her face?
Oh, Dokoro-chan?
Dokoro-chan. She reminds me of Dokoro-chan.
She does have moments of Dokoro-chan in her, yes.
Yeah, she's very Dokoro-chan. I like her a lot.
Like when you first meet her, you find out that she's a god-killing weapon. Like her entire race is just, they were apparently made to kill gods.
Sorry, I have to watch this right now. Because
I just started showing my wife that, by the way.
Dokoro-chan or this?
No, Dokoro-chan in general.
I like Dokoro-chan.
She thinks it's insane, which it is.
I mean, it is, but it's good.
But yeah, we meet Jibril. She's in the library. Turns out she won the library from Stephanie's grandfather after a game, obviously. And she's been there ever since. And she won't give up the library to Sora and Shiro until they bet something really cool. And he's like, well, I've got all these books on my iPad. Would you like these? She's like, I love that she's all cool and collected and very menacing until he mentions, I've got 40,000 books here, and suddenly she just starts slobbering over everything.
Well, this show is a very horny show, and usually it's horny for boobs, but in this case, it's very horny for books. Just very horny for books.
there is a pretty good exchange of jokes there when she wants to make sure that they're actually from another world. And she's like, I'm going to check your erogenous zones. And he's like, only if I can check yours first. And she's like, oh, okay.
And hers are very boring.
But it turns out it's just her wings.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a good joke.
Pretty okay. It's the same thing, though, of like, it's always the ears or the, it's the Star Trek rule.
The tail. It's always the tail.
Yeah. It's always the tail or the ears. In Star Trek, it is always the forehead / it's always the forehead thing. Always this is the case.
Thinking of Klingons and their forehead things and it being
it's Ferengi.
Oh.
So it's the ears.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh that. Yeah.
Ugh. I don't need to think about that.
I mean, you could.
So we've got the main characters out of the way. I want to talk about the 4 main games of the series.
The games are clever. They're the best part.
Yeah. So let's start out with the first one, which is Charisma
Chess. The first real game.
Yeah.
Skipping poker and some very clever. I did really like the Junkin Pon thing
between Sora and
I liked
Steph.
that. Yeah, because it's clever. It shows the like multiple layers of thinking about it.
Yeah, you got
especially
the
whole trick of the multi-layered bluff. It's like, I will play you, but I will only throw paper.
Or will
Granted, I'm not putting that in the actual rules.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you, I will only play paper. Off the books.
So the Charisma Chess is played between Kuhaku and Kurami over who is actually going to become king of Elkia.
Yeah, because they always Sora and Shiro always play as the set. Mm-hmm. And it's very important. And again, like, that's another good thing about the show is that like it's very interesting that they have to play together because they both make up for each other's faults. Where one person's weak in a game, the other person's better.
Yeah, it's a callback to the first episode where they play Tet at just normal straight chess. And so we assume, this is just going to be another chess with bigger pieces that move by themselves. But it quickly turns out that the pieces...
Yeah, you're set up for wizard's chess.
Yeah, the pieces are suddenly like actual characters.
They have a will of their own, is what it said. And it's implied for the first like part of the game that it is wizard's chess. By will of their own, we mean they move on their own.
Mm-hmm. But it turns out, no, they actually have a will as if they were real soldiers and such.
Yeah, they have. It's like they're role playing. Like they're very good role players. It's like the pawns are a pawn, but they're also like a soldier.
Yeah, and so it's really nice to see that the game starts as you would expect. And Shiro, who we already know is really good at chess, she's taking first crack at this. And she realizes very quickly that she can't deal with Kurami's pieces moving weird. And not obeying any real rules of chess. But Sora's already picked up that this isn't normal chess. This is charisma chess.
Yeah, it's about being a leader. You have to lead your pieces to victory.
Yeah. And the way he does that is really nice. And it shows you pretty quickly, this show is all about metagaming. It is metagaming the anime.
So. Yeah, and I like that part. And again, this is another good place where like the ecchi stuff like actually works because they bring it into the game in sort of a good natural way where it's just where he appeals to the pawn's baser instincts
by showing that you could either follow that crazy king over there who's telling you to kill your fellow chess pieces, or you could fight for this cute little lolly.
Yeah,
cute as justice. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
And of course, this boldens their spirits. I also like the way that he turns the queen.
Oh yeah, no, there's lots of like clever stuff in it. Like I can knock none of the clever schemes to win the games. They're all very good and actually clever.
I figured that would be your favorite part of the show.
Oh yeah, no, because like it's legit good. It's like watching light work. It's like, yeah, no, this is good because this is an actual clever plan that the author clearly thought about and was like, how will I do this?
Yeah.
It's not just and then they won. Have another boob joke.
So the next game, which does involve boob jokes, but it's actually part of the game, is Materialization Shiritori, which I am not going to lie.
What is Shiritori?
Okay, so Shiritori is a Japanese game that it can only really be played in Japanese.
Yeah, you can kind of do it in English, but only a little bit.
It doesn't really work. So Japanese language is made up of consonant-vowel pairs, and then you have all by itself. And so the game of Shiritori is everybody says a word, and then the next person has to say a word that starts with the last pair of letters that the last word ended with. And you lose if you repeat a word or you say a word that ends in n.
Because no word can start with that.
Yeah. Materialization Shiritori is pretty much the same, except anything that you say will appear if it doesn't already exist, or disappear if it does exist. And you can't repeat words, because that would be cheating, and you would lose.
Yep.
I assume that the rule also applies, but it doesn't come up.
Yeah, I would imagine they're both clever. Everybody is clever enough to avoid that trap.
But I am not going to lie, that episode is my favorite episode of the entire series.
It's the solution they come up with is very clever.
You see it coming a mile away, but you don't know what it is.
I thought that's where they were going.
So you find out, like, the very first thing that Sora materializes is a hydrogen bomb. And at first you're thinking, well, that's just ridiculous. It's just this big, bombastic, pun intended, move just to get everybody's expectations up. But he actually does it for a reason. He wants to see if he can materialize things from his own world here.
Yeah, things he knows that exists that, like, no one else necessarily would.
And he also uses it to figure out how Gibril's magic works. And then he removes those, all of her magic circuits.
Yep. Systemagically. Ooh, a new
nice.
portmanteau,
Like
which is very good, and I might start using in Dungeons and Dragons.
Do it.
That's very good.
Do it.
Systemagically. Ooh, I need to write that down. Very good. It's like systematic, but magical. It's very good.
It is very good.
Either way, systematically I did it again on accident. This is a very good portmanteau. Systematically turns off all of her magical abilities.
Yeah. And it does turn into a bunch of ecchi jokes in the middle.
Yeah.
But it actually is part of his plan because he's trying to distract Gibril from what he's actually doing. Because every once in a while he'll remove something. And the first time I saw it, I had no idea what was going on. So at one point he just says mantle. And there's just this circle on the screen and a big yellow blotch disappears. And we just cut right back. And you're like,
I thought that's what he was doing. I was like, is he taking apart the planet?
And then, it turns out that all the ridiculous stuff that they came up with was just to distract Gibril from the fact that they were removing the planet, except for the core.
Yep.
And then that last couple moves were just genius.
Very good.
Especially the column force.
Oh, well, yeah. Not just that, but also the cleverness of the misspelling a word, so when it disappears, he has a word left to say, and it's the word that he wants.
That is really nice.
Or did he just write it on the back?
I think he just wrote it on the back.
I like mine better,
because
he
wrote
miswrote
two,
the kanji.
And the one that I like is he wrote one in kanji and held it up to her, and she takes the bait and writes that herself in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And she has no idea what she just did.
Yep. It just gives her a word.
Yeah. I forget what exactly is that takeaway? Was it oxygen?
No, it's actually just a sort of nonsense word. It was a phrase meaning know it all. Oh,
that's right. And he uses that to parlay into the other ones.
Yeah.
But the moment they remove lithosphere was just that's a wow moment, if there ever was one. And then from there to the end of the column force was choice.
Very choice.
The next game we have is Spirit Othello. I'm not really sure what the name of it was.
That one was interesting.
It was.
Yeah,
it's really weird, and it's very hard to follow. Even the second viewing is hard to follow.
Yes, I like the. It's one of those things where it's set up well narratively. It's an interesting narrative thing, but it wasn't executed as well as it could have been. I feel like either the author or the show itself bit off more than it could chew and couldn't handle how good of a concept that was and make it work and make it readable. From a viewer standpoint.
I think it was probably the weakest game of the four big ones that we had.
When it really had the potential to be the strongest.
Yeah, and I feel like the reason it was the weakest one was because the point of the game wasn't necessarily who won or who lost. It was more, let's explore the relationship between these two siblings without having one of them around.
Yeah, which again, this is very interesting. This is an interesting narrative thing to do, but I feel like it bit off more than it could handle.
Yeah, the way Shiro figures out, because the whole point is they're playing Othello and the chips sort of imply bits of yourself. It's kind of like death billiards, I guess.
Yeah.
And when you flip stuff over, like either you get that part of the other person, or it's not very well explained. But what happens is Shiro ends up remembering who Sora is, but Sora has been removed from the existence of everybody else.
Yeah.
And Shiro has to figure out that actually the game is still being played. He still exists and the board is still here, but it isn't. And so she plays the remaining 3 moves without actually seeing the board.
Yeah. Which again, all this is clever, but like it's just not as executed as you want it to be.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's because it's more of a character development thing rather than a game in this.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. And it wants to merge the two in a clever way. And it almost gets there, but it doesn't quite.
And then we come to our last one, which is the game that Shiro and Sora play against the War Beast Nation, or the Eastern Federation,
of cat girls.
Yeah, cat girls. Or the real title of the game.
Of cat girls.
Did you catch the whole title of the real game?
I very love it.
It's
that's right.
Living or Dead series side story. Love or loved too. Hit her with your bullet of love.
It's very good.
It's really great because you're expecting these war beasts to come up with some ridiculous like fighting game or contest of strength.
It's like this weird first-person shooter love game hybrid that's like a play off of a idol simulation.
It's so weird.
It's a very good multi-layered joke, and I do enjoy it.
And
a
it
lot.
even has this whole like op inside the show just for this stupid game
with bad CGI idols.
It's so
which
great.
I'm not sure were purposely bad or not, but you know it works either way.
I think it was totally a send up of what is that, Idolmaster?
Oh, absolutely it is.
But it's a first person shooter for some reason, and
oh yeah, it's very weird, but it's very good.
Yeah, that whole game it's probably the second best, I think.
Choice. It's very good.
Especially because they're fighting against Izunutan, the little girl war beast chick who's the representative. I'm not sure why she is, because it seems like they would have maybe better players. But
well,
she's the emissary to this embassy.
Part of it too is the hubris of the nation, right?
That is, yeah, that's true. Because every time they play this game, the war beasts make the challenger accept the conditions that they will forget everything about the game.
Which is a very clever plan.
It is really nice. Like, they've thought about this. They're not, Sora and Shiro are not the only ones gaming the 10 rules.
Yeah, like it's well done.
One of the best parts is the old like grandpa war beast guy explaining the rules super seriously to them and talking about the metal guns.
Yeah,
it's so just surreal.
Very, very odd. I like the puzzle of it. I like how you pretty much, like, if you're paying attention, you know that like Steph is going to be the key to the whole thing eventually.
Yeah, Steph is clutch.
And you're just waiting for why Steph is clutch.
Well, what's really great is all the pieces of this have been building for several episodes.
Yeah, they really have, in a very good way, in a natural way. It makes it feel like somebody like took the time to actually make a clever plan. Yeah,
this is why I say the show doesn't waste any time. Because the day that they're going through and having Steph become a dog, they don't actually use all the game's pledges to make her do stuff. They leave one out. And so that comes back to before they play this game, they give her a command saying that if Shiro ever writes something on the ground, follow that to the letter and then forget that you ever read it.
Yep.
That becomes absolutely key because Shiro, in the middle of the game, figures out the math behind how all the NPCs are moving. And so she figures out that if she tells Steph to get on one of the NPCs and wait until her gun recharges and then just shoot straight ahead and tells her nothing else, just do that, and they lead Izuna to that particular spot. So she gets shot in the back.
The war beasts can't read minds, but they're good at
cold reading,
picking up physical signals.
Mm-hmm. And just the fact that everything about that was thought out episodes and episodes ago. And even in the books, I guess it would have been a book before.
Yeah.
That's really good writing.
It is. It's good plan laying, right? And that's what you want to see in a show like this. You don't want them to be just like You want to be a Christie mystery and not a Holmes mystery, right?
Right.
You want a mystery where it's like somebody did a legitimately clever thing and somebody figured it out, not and he was better than everyone else.
Yeah, you want to be able to, when it's revealed to you, turn back and be like, is that what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
Huh.
yeah.
Cool.
Not just, I figured it out and so I win.
Here are some facts that we never showed you before. I know.
How nice is that?
And you know what's great is that was actually set up in the first episode when they play that one poker hand and they get that royal straight flush. Because your expectations in this type of show are, oh, they're just really lucky and they've learned to game luck, just like Saki. But then as they leave, Shiro turns to Sora and is like, you cheated back there and that's against the rules. He's like, only if you get caught. So you already know that they're cheating. They're not actually that good at luck.
Not in that aspect.
Yeah, and so you learn to not think that they are just somehow godly luck characters.
No, they've done the math and they figured it out.
Oh yeah, I have this screen cap I want to show with you. It's a reaction that it's when they're all having that one conference right before the War Beast, and they're all gathered around that table, and Sora's like, okay, here's what we got to do. This is the most important thing we do before we face the War Beast Nation. Let's have introductions, and we have
it's good,
and we have this reaction.
Oh yes, it was a very good reaction. I like how they kept the wings
it's the best wings
for Gibril. It was A+. Like there's really great reaction shot humor in it.
Yeah, and most of them
joke.
are
Like,
where we get our references from.
Visual references. Yeah, no, they're very good.
So I don't want to ask what you thought again because you're just going to say boob jokes. But
yeah. I mean,
I think it's
boob jokes.
I think it's a strong show, even if it does have a lot of boobs in it.
Again, when it's taking itself seriously, I really like it. I just wish it did that.
Sorry,
because it just doesn't. It only does half the time.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, I'd still give it a 7 or an 8 because I think it's
it's fine.
The parts that are good are really good, and the parts that aren't great, they're okay. They're not.
They're more eye rolly and like, all right.
They don't really detract from anything.
Move along.
Yeah.
I just feel like I want it to just move past those as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about the weird shampoo stuff in the baths.
Okay, so first off, the weird shampoo stuff is...
I was like, okay, that does not need to be there.
Look, there's some things I will go to bat for, and a good tendril joke. I'll stand up for one of those.
Well, yeah, so will Sora.
Yeah, no, it's too much.
Right. Like I said, there's not another season yet, even though everyone has been pining for one forever.
Yeah, if one was announced, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll get back into this. Hopefully they cut back a little bit on the boobs and just like, especially if it gets greenlit for just one more season, it means they would have to just like go through. They wouldn't be able to waste time with the humor that isn't necessary. If they had to tighten up the timeline, then hopefully the stuff that I do not like would end up getting cut.
Well, I haven't read the spoilers on Wikipedia, but just glancing through how much stuff is in all the rest of the books, I don't think that they could spend as much time as they do in this series, like say in the bath.
Yeah.
So,
because you'd have to just go like, let's get to the games, let's do the games, let's get there. We can keep our sense and style of humor. We can just cut it down to where it is necessary and really works and makes the plot go. Like again, a lot of the little ecchi jokes in the Love or Loved 2 is like they're fine because they make sense within the world they have set up. Yeah. They're not just lolly grabbing boobs.
You'll get that.
You do get that.
So, what are we going to watch next time?
That's the next question. I haven't thought about it. The first season of Boku no Hero Academia is 13 episodes.
Is it?
It is.
I guess that would make us somewhat topical.
You can hear me talk about Boku no Hero Academia and how it's green Naruto. How long has it been since you've seen a shonen? Like, it's probably just been One Punch Man, right?
One Punch Man, Dragon Ball Kai. I guess it has been a while.
Yeah, let's watch the first season of Boku no Hero Academia. I'll rewatch it.
All right.
Or I'll just watch the clip show at the beginning of season 3.
You say it's only 13.
I'd be interested to hear what you talk. Yeah, it's just 13, the first season. The first season and second season are nice because they're tight. It's 13 and 24, but season 3 is already bogging itself down, so I don't know. I'm slightly worried where it's going, but season 1's fine.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yes, just season 1.
I mean, if you want to watch both seasons,
we're not gonna go that deep. Oh, we could watch Sword Art Online.
I'd rather shoot myself in the face.
Me too. It's not good.
Apparently,
all those things that we complimented. Let's go back to that the idea that here's a hero that's good at the game because we said he's good at the game. He's good at games. He is king of game.
King of games.
King of the Yu-Gi-Oh.
He's literally the worst.
If you will.
So next time we are going to watch Boku no Hero Academia, the first season, because I am so far behind.
Let's not actually be miserable. Let's call it My Hero Academia, because its Japanese name. It puts Boku no there, so the Japanese know what they're saying.
All right, fine. All right.
The real name of the show is My Hero Academia, but I will continue to be miserable and just call it Boku no Hero Academia, just for the anime Simpsons joke, Weeaboo Simpsons joke.
Fair enough. So next time we'll watch My Hero Academia, and we will see you then.